Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Coffee Talk. Hey, Michael, how are you?
Good, good. How are you? I'm excited to be on CAWFEE tour.
Well, me too. Actually, you asked how I am. I'm recovering. I fell last week, and as a result of that, I kind of messed up one of my wheels, and I'm trying to recover and get that wheel running again. And so it's been a little bit of a challenge. Sometimes you injure yourself and you actually think you're really better than you actually are. And then you find out down the line, maybe you shouldn't have approached it that way. So look, you know what? Stupidity has no barriers.
I know it.
Yeah, so...
it's funny because I was thinking when you told me you weren't elevating your leg properly.
Who knew?
God, I could have told you that a long time ago.
Well, I know.
And I just thought, oh, he's a chemist.
Yeah, well, there's a difference between knowing what cosmetics do and knowing how to elevate your freaking leg.
Right.
So anyway, that's why I'm doing these little short broadcasts, because I still need to recover. I've got today and tomorrow, and then I've got to try to go back to somewhat of a full schedule starting on Wednesday. So
right.
Anyway, look, I'm very excited
Sir, you'll do it.
I know. I'm excited about this edition, especially for those who are watching us on YouTube and those who are watching us on Facebook. This is our Mythbuster edition of Coffee Talk.
Oh my goodness.
People have heard me say this over and over again, that my wife says I should stay off of social media. And of course, when you're convalescing, what else do you have but social media or a book? And you can only read a book so many times. And so
television.
And elevate, yes. And so
television,
there's things.
I said.
Television. Yes, there's television too. But I think unlike most people, we have cable, which has a whole bunch of channels, but there's really nothing to watch. I know that sounds terrible, but it's like nothing worth watching, I should say.
You have Netflix, and you haven't watched the latest season of House of Cards.
I haven't yet.
So
and you know what? I might do that this afternoon. I might. So anyway,
because it's good, let me tell you.
I went on social media over the last couple of days, and again, I saw some questions come up, and I really feel that we just need to really put it out there. And if you're watching this and you disagree, that's cool. You can disagree; doesn't matter. Yeah. All I can tell you is what science tells you, and take it for what it's worth, right?
Well, and it takes a long time to debunk the myths, because so many people have believed in the myths and have been taught the myths over and over and over and over and over and over, that it's like, if you say it loud enough and with enough conviction, people will believe you.
Absolutely.
And so that is, and it is no fault really of the people who are today. No. It came at a time when part of it may have been true, and now it's not anymore. And so we find ourselves in this conundrum of just being, constantly having to say that this is a myth, it's not true, it's
right.
We're talking science. We are not offending anyone's understanding or their teaching. What we are, in fact, saying is that you may have been taught incorrectly. And so we all owe it to our profession as we move forward to debunk the myths and have truthful education and truthful knowledge.
Right, absolutely. So, and I think that the more truth there is, then it empowers our fellow song professionals, and that's what our goal is.
Absolutely.
At Guru Village, our goal, our mission is to empower you with the information. What you do with that information is a different thing. But we're such emotional people, we get offended when someone contradicts our belief system. So I'm going to apologize in advance if you get offended by what we share with you today. You're not.
I'm not.
But
no, because
you know, there comes a time when we have to just get straight.
Well, and here's what I feel is that if somebody tells me something and it stings a little, I'm probably guilty of the stingation.
Sure.
You know?
Is that a word?
It is now.
Stingation?
A stingation.
Okay.
And so, you know, you just don't take it as though you're being insulted.
Right.
Take it as though you're being enlightened.
Exactly.
Because we are not ever trying to insult anyone. We are trying to enlighten you.
That's right. So. All right, so let's begin.
Okay.
Here's one.
First one.
Okay. So here's, let me just share this before we start. I think a lot of what has happened in our industry is there's been a little bit of science, a little bit of marketing, and a little bit of personal interpretation. And you mix those all together, and that's why you end up getting the things you get. Okay?
Okay.
So first one, too much protein will break the hair.
Not anymore, people.
Not anymore. If this was
1970 what?
77.
77. Okay.
If this was prior to 1977, I would totally understand why people would believe that, because the way that proteins were processed and the type of proteins that we had access to, okay, those were really heavy coating products that would harden. And so if you use
Effigy,
if you use
still sell.
That's right. If you use too much of that product on the hair over and over, it would become brittle. The hair would become brittle. Remember, protein does not add moisture generally. Those old proteins didn't add any moisture to the hair at all. That's why you had a protein treatment and a moisture treatment.
Right.
It was your job to add the adequate amounts of each. In 1977, the processing for those types of proteins were changed.
From
then
hooves.
Yeah. So when that changed, it changed the size of the protein molecule.
Right.
It helped it to have better penetration into the hair, and you had less issues with worrying about over-proteinizing the hair. Remember, the hair is an amazing thing. The hair will only absorb what it needs, and then it will repel the rest.
Right, like a sponge.
I think people don't understand that, because you still have people who do protein treatments and then put someone under a dryer, and they think it's going to help the protein treatment penetrate better. It's not.
Well, I thought that for years.
Right. Most protein treatments will work in 5 minutes, room temperature. If you want to have more protein added to the hair, don't let it process longer. That doesn't do any good. The hair is only going to take in what it needs, and it's going to repel the rest. Here's the secret to protein treatments, Michael. Apply the protein treatment, let it process for 5 minutes, then rinse it off, blot the hair, apply a second application of the protein treatment, because now you've prepared the hair to take on more product or more ingredients, okay? But lots of things have changed. One, we're not using very much animal protein, if any at all, today in 2017. Most of our proteins are plant-based proteins, or marine
arms.
Yeah, are marine-based proteins, or like we're using sericin. Sericin is a silk protein, comes from the cocoon of the silkworm. We're using milk proteins. We're using all different types of proteins today. So the old story about over-proteinizing the hair, that's gone away.
Right, because it's no longer coating the hair.
No.
It's penetrating into the hair, and the hair repels what it doesn't need.
Right. So it penetrates into the cuticle layer and somewhat into the cortex layer. Absolutely. Right. But again, it's not creating such a heavy coating on the hair like protein treatments did before.
Well, and it makes sense if you think about it was really made from like hooves of animals.
Horns and hooves, and hide. Horns, hooves, and hide.
And so it's ground up and dried out, and then reconstituted some way after that. And it would make sense that the gelatinous nature of the hoof after it would be, you know, it's kind of like a fingernail when it gets really, really soft.
Right.
You know, it's going to shed and flake.
They had to convert cysteine into cysteine.
Right.
So that it would work. But then when you let it harden,
it turns back into cysteine.
Well, it doesn't turn back into it, but it becomes hard.
Right.
It becomes hard. All right, so myth number one, protein treatments, excess protein treatments cannot break the hair. Right. Now, there's going to be somebody out there who says, well, I used a protein treatment and it broke my hair. No, if your hair broke,
it broke on its own.
It broke on its own. Sorry.
Because you didn't get to the protein quick enough, people.
That's right. Absolutely true. Absolutely true. A great way to test for that is to do the stretch test, you know, where you take a hair strand, you know, hold it between your two index fingers, take your thumbs, and stretch it. Hold it for 10 seconds, and then release it. If the hair comes back to within 50% of its normal configuration, the hair is relatively healthy. But if the hair breaks, you already have issues with protein. You already have issues.
More than one issue.
Yeah. All right, number two. Number two, this one just came up today.
Did I just snort on live TV?
You did.
Oh, sorry,
you
people.
Did.
Wow. It was a snortation.
Yeah. This came up just today. Metal bowls with bleach.
Oh, Jesus.
And, of course, you know, naturally, everybody jumped on that and said, no metal bowls, you'll have a reaction, all of this. And here's the fact, okay? The facts are that using stainless steel, the question was about stainless steel bowls, using a stainless steel bowl, could you do that and mix bleach in it without a side effect? Absolutely. And here's why. Stainless steel does not oxidize very, very quickly. It doesn't oxidize very well. And it does not leach active ions into the bleach. That was the issue with metal bowls. Okay, so you won't have a reaction if you choose to use a stainless steel bowl. But my question is, why use a stainless steel bowl? I'm sure it's for a visual.
Aesthetic reason.
Aesthetically, yeah. Right? But
it does look more clinical, I will agree, but why not just get white?
Why not get white? Why not get glass? Why not, you know, there's beautiful plastic bowls that are wonderful to work with today.
Or acrylic that looks like glass.
Or acrylic or any of those kinds of things. You know, so there's lots of ways that you could use, you know, aesthetically make your presentation, and I understand making an aesthetically beautiful presentation. But if you choose to use, you know, a stainless steel bowl, you can do that because, you know, metals have come a long way. We're not using the same old tin cans and the same old metal, cast iron, you know, those kinds of things. We're not using those types of metals so much anymore. Most of our metals are coated anyway. You know, so they are protected. So I don't think you have to worry about that. I mean, bobby pins are coated.
Yeah.
You know,
we have ball tips, and I even found bobby pins that are coated with flocked hair pins, so that you don't get slippage.
Yeah. Is that a word? Well, you've coined some interesting words today.
Well, you know what? I watched too much Wendy Williams this weekend. I caught up on my Wendy Williams, and she's always got a sayation.
Yeah. Well, you know what? They always say that if we don't know the word, we create a word for it.
Right.
You know, absolutely. So metal bowls. Okay. So hopefully.
Or get a shaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I'm a shaker kind of guy.
Right. Right.
I love my shakers.
And of course, you know, there's been a lot of stories out there about plastic bowls because they're porous, that they absorb some of the product. Well, not if you keep your bowls nice. You know,
Well,
I use plastic bowls and they're coated. They're not just a plastic, they're coated, double coated.
So what would it matter if it did absorb product? Aren't you going to wash it in between?
Well, of course you are. But the issue was that it would affect the color result. It's not going to affect the color result. So
now that's just made up.
Well, there's a lot of stuff made up.
That's made up malarkey. And
oh, if you think
malarkey is a word.
It is a word. I know that. Well, if you think that's made up, you're going to love the next one.
What?
You can't whisk bleach or color because if you whisk it, you will whip too much oxygen into the bleach and you will cause it to process quicker. You'll lose part of your processing time by whisking it.
Well, don't do the whippation.
So, you and your words today. So I want to know.
To cause oxidation.
Who whips color like that?
I don't know. You'd have to whip it really hard.
You'd have to do that, wouldn't you?
I mean, you'd have to have a KitchenAid with the whisk attachment, I think.
Right. Well, they make those. Don't they make those? Can't you buy them at Product Club? You can buy the little automatic where you put your color in and you turn it on and it mixes the color for you.
You know, okay, so here's my question. What kind of color are you using that is so hard to mix up? I don't get that.
Yeah. Well,
and if it's that difficult to mix up, then use a shaker.
Right.
Because it will do a perfect job.
Yes.
I mean, it really does. So,
but a whisk is not going to put excessive air in your mixture.
Not any more than if you stirred it with a brush.
Not any more than if you stirred it with a brush. Not at all.
I mean, a whisk isn't going to make you be bionic, for Christ's sake.
Right. Right.
You'd have to be bionic to whip too much air into it.
Yeah. So anyway, whisk, hopefully we've taken care of that one. The next one is, I'm going to just drop a little color in my bleach so I can get a bleach and tone at the same time.
For God's sakes.
And the funny thing is that there are people who still do that.
Yep. And absolutely believe it.
Yeah. And it happens in the bowl. Nothing happens on the head.
Yeah.
It does. It happens in the bowl. Nothing happens on the head. But people do it anyway. Okay, so we have such strong belief systems in things that we can't prove. You know, it's like
how my brain doesn't work like that.
It's what it is that when we were originally trained in this industry, we were not formally grounded. Remember, in beauty school, all you had to learn were practical skills. That really was what you never had a chemistry class in beauty school.
No, but I just can't say anything.
So people would believe anything. And of course, you know, remember, a lot of these things were devised, these poultices, if you will, these mixtures, in the salon. We get in the back room and we have an idea. We don't know whether it's accurate or not, but we have an idea and we mix it up and it works. You know, it's craziness. So color in the bowl, color in bleach, it all happens in the bowl. Nothing happens on the hair. Trust me when I tell you that. Now, let's take the reverse. I'm going to add some bleach into my high lift tent to make it give me a little more lift. Now, there are people who visually believe that they got more lift, and here's what happened. They put the bleach in the high lift tent, which had very small amount of pigment in it.
And a lot of bleach anyway.
And the bleach ate up what pigment there was in the high lift tent.
Right.
So what they created was raw lift, which will give you more reflect than the pigment that was in the high lift color, and therefore they say it did give me more lift. That's how a famous color was created called Wella 1290. Wella 1290 was an oil bleach, a high lift tint, and you would always add 1 to 2 well oxide tablets to it. Well oxide tablets were bleach. Yeah.
Oh.
So you made a bleach out of your bleach.
What a bleach of an idea.
So when you do that, realize what's happening. If you're using a high-level color, it only has about 3 units of pigment in it, and you drop in powdered bleach or even more oil bleach, you're going to degrade any pigment that was in that color to begin with. You're going to get more reflect, but you won't get any refinement.
Degradation.
Yeah.
Word. Okay, I need to chime in about something now.
All right.
So you say, I know, and most of our Guru Village people know, that really high lift tint is bleach with a little bit of tone in it.
Right, oil bleach.
And oil bleach, and it is designed that the pigment will last through the development time and deposit.
Right.
However, once you go past that, you're going to destroy that pigment anyway.
Right, because of the oxidation process.
Right. So, here's my thing. You cannot lighten the hair without damage.
Right.
Because when you lighten the hair, you are degrading the protein structure of the hair. That is how you are lightening it.
Right.
Whether you get there in 20 minutes or 3 days, you are still degrading the same amount of protein in the hair. So please, when we talk about high lift color, don't say I use it because it's more gentle than a bleach.
It's not more gentle. It's not more gentle than a bleach. Right.
It makes it feel different because of what the oil that is in the bleach.
Right.
Or the oil that is in the product.
Right.
So if you would use oil in with your bleach, you probably would get the same kind of feel. However, you are not being more gentle to the hair. You are not, it doesn't matter if you use 10 volume or 60 volume, you're still degrading the same amount of protein structure in the hair to get it to pale yellow.
Yeah, let's make it real simple. 2 words that do not belong in the same sentence. Gentle and bleach. They don't belong in the same sentence.
No.
There's no such thing as a gentle bleach.
And there's no such thing as a gentle bee.
I don't know what that means, but who knows? All right. Next, number 6.
We had 6?
We're at 6 already. By placing a client under the dryer heat will swell the hair and allow the products to penetrate deeper, or it will swell the hair. I mean, I actually read on a post in social media that heat has the same effect on the hair as alkalinity does. And that is absolutely not true.
That is so malarkey-ish.
That is not true. And here's why I say that. In order to swell the cuticle on the hair, it requires a change in pH.
Not a change in heat.
Right, because look, if hotter temperatures made the hair swell, I would be hanging out in freaking Phoenix, Arizona. So my hair would be thicker.
Yeah. Right.
Right? So, here's what heat does.
About that, haven't you ever sat in the car and the sun's beating in that window on your hair and you touch your hair and it's hotter than hot?
Yeah.
And if that was the case, every time you flat ironed your hair,
it would get thicker.
Swelling it.
Yes.
Every time you blow dry it, every time, everything.
So here's what happens. When you put a chemical under heat, The heat activates the chemical.
And
Does not swell the hair. It, yes, activates and intensifies the chemical. So that's what we're doing when we add heat to a chemical process. That is why virtually every chemical process that is tested at room temperature in a laboratory. Okay,
right.
And then we get it and we put it under the hairdresser's microwave oven, the hair dryer. And so I just wanted to get that clear. The dryer doesn't swell the hair. It's just like hot water doesn't swell the hair more than cold water. Right. Hair does not react to temperature. It is dead. Skin reacts to temperature because it is alive. Okay?
Oh, I'm getting weak.
Number 7, and then we're done with this.
Okay.
In order to chelate the hair, you need a high pH.
Oh, for God's sakes.
So the story is...
Get off the soapbox.
The story is that you have to swell the cuticle layers so that you can pull the impurities out of the cuticle layer.
Right.
And that's not the way a chelating agent works. A chelating process works on a positive-negative charge. So when you apply the chelating product to the hair, it attracts the metal ions, the debris.
Which are negative, or which are the opposite of
so it attracts those negative ions, or those metal charges. It attracts any kind of debris that's in the hair. Chelate, the word chelate comes from the Greek word, and it means the claw. That's what it does. It harnesses those impurities in the hair, and then when you shampoo the hair, or as you rinse it out of hair, it extracts those out of the hair strand. There's no necessity to use something at a pH of 9 on the hair in order to clarify it properly. So I think, again, it's what we believe in this industry is what causes most challenges for us. Now, some people say, well, I believe everything you've talked about, everything you have tried to debunk today, I believe all of those. I don't believe what you're saying. And that's great if that's the way. And if you're having success, and if you say, well, why am I having success even though I believe all these other things? Well, my question would be to you, what type of success are you having? Are you always able to predict a result? How many times does hair go sideways on you in a week or in a day or in a month? Because these kinds of things are things that confuse new hairdressers in our business because they don't know who to believe. And so that's why I wanted to do this session and kind of, give people an explanation of all of these things. Because, I mean, there's a longer list than this, Michael.
Oh,
but
we could be.
Ask yourself, stop and think about it when somebody tells you something that doesn't make sense. It's like when people say,
if it's just too out there, I mean.
Right. If they say, I'm going to fill this hair and I'm going to use straight color, it's a demi color, and I'm going to use straight color. I'm not going to mix it with processing solution or developer or activator or whatever you call it. And I ask you, what are you filling with then? Because most of your demi-permanent colors today have oxidative dyes. Right. So if you put an oxidative dye in the hair without mixing it with a developer, you're not going to get full development of the dye molecules.
Right. Oh my God, do you remember those horrible chlorophylls or chlorophyll in the big glass jar bottle that were like pigment?
Oh, yes.
Remember what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, my God. My first experience with one of those, and I said, well, she wants to be red, so I'm going to fill her with red. Boy, oh, boy, was she red.
Thank God we don't have to do those today. Thank God, we have
a fire engine driving down the street.
Right. So Anyway, that's why we wanted to do this today. And
because we miss you.
Right. And if you have enjoyed this little segment, share it with your friends. We'd appreciate that you do that. We invite you to go to our website, which is www.guruvillage.net, and check out our online webinars. We have several new webinars pre-recorded that we put up. Yes?
Yes.
Yeah, Lisa Enos has one up there for holiday hairstyles.
Yes, and we're going to have another one by Sandra.
Sandra Avila, yes. Sandra's going to get one up there.
And Megan
Kara, absolutely. Anthony Persotto has several up there on the website.
And then Dennis has Principles of Color.
Codebreaker. Yeah.
Secrets of,
not Mashup's not up there. Secrets of Communication. And I forget what the other is, but we've got several up there. We also have our virtual classroom. We have a couple of dates still remaining this year with the virtual classroom.
And we will be announcing those because we've changed some things around.
Right.
Because of either people couldn't join those sessions for some reason or another.
Right.
And we have limited time before the end of the year. So we will get those up and posted probably this week. Dennis and I are going to be meeting to discuss our education in 2018.
Right.
In the next couple of weeks. And then we will be letting you know what's going on.
Exactly.
And so I'm very excited about that. I'm very excited because we are getting close to being able to announce the special thing that we are doing for you in the new year and what's going to happen with Guru Village in 2018. I'm so excited. I'm just really, really charged up about it. My face doesn't look good. I look old and haggard, but I'm just going to say what Dennis says. The outside don't match the inside. That's
true. Absolutely. And we're very excited that we finally finalized our things with the Beauty Council in Western Canada.
Yes, yes.
So that's in process now. That's happening.
Well, it's done. It's signed.
Yeah.
It's sealed and delivered.
Right.
So, but next week, hopefully you guys will be able to meet Miss Fiona Chambers, who is the executive director of the Beauty Council of Western Canada.
Right.
And so we're looking forward to having her as a guest on CAWFEE TAWLK for all of you.
Exactly.
And I don't know what else.
Well, I have an announcement. We have been invited to do live broadcasts on Hairdressers Advice.
Oh, yeah.
My friend Alan Bush called me and asked me if I would do a weekly broadcast on Hairdressers Advice. And I said I would love to. So watch for us. Live streaming Hairdressers Advice, that forum, Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time.
Does that start this week?
It starts 2 days from now.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm very excited about that.
I am too.
So,
Mr. Gebhardt.
Anyway, that's what we're up to. Listen, we want to wish you all a great week. We hope you have a great week. It's coming into holiday season, and we hope you're all getting geared up for that and productive and all that good stuff. And we will see you next week again on Coffee Talk. So until then, from my heart to yours, I'm Captain Color, and I'm out. Michael, how about you? Are you out?
I'm out too. Bye.
Bye, everybody.